Okay, it's June 28th, 2024. This is a meeting of the Finance Appropriation Advisory Committee. First order of business is to pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all. Okay, public business. Today we're here to do the end of the year transfers. Everybody's got a copy of the transfers. I'll kind of trying to briefly go over it. We do have some transfers that were approved. I believe these were approved on a few weeks ago, right? The selectmen had their meeting.
The 17th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the selectmen had their meeting and approved a couple transfers. First one was the transfer from our FAA reserve account, which we set up every year to have a little bit of money in that. And it was transferred, $11,334.76 was transferred to the police cruiser fund. The police cruiser, that was the final purchase of, there were 5 police cruisers that were authorized to be purchased by capital improvement, and it was funded through a debt exclusion. That's the final one that's being bought, but 5 years ago, we had pricing on this, and then the pricing has since gone up dramatically. So we had, debt exclusion to fund 60,000 of it, but the price had gone up another 11,334. So we didn't have any cash left. So we decided to do the FAA reserve account, come up with the balance on that. Also, there was some election expenses left over in the account. $491.77, and that was being transferred to her town clerk, general expense. I think it's general expenses there, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments on those two transfers?
Nope.
Not on those two.
None of those. Okay. So what I'd like to do is get a motion and a vote on transferring those two items. We can do that if we want.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfers from the FAA Reserve Fund to the account for the police cruiser and the election expenses to the town clerk expenses.
Okay. And you want to just read up the total amount?
The total amount of the FAA Reserve Fund is, down here, thank you. Total is $11,823.53.
Does anybody want to second that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, and any discussion on those two items?
No.
It's 11,826.
Yeah, you're correct. So the correction is 11,826.33.
These font sizes are tiny.
Yeah, it's tough to see. Okay, any discussion on that? All right, seeing no discussion, we'll call a vote. All in favor for the transfer, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, so we'll transfer those two amounts. We'll sign, when we're done today, we'll all sign the transfer order. All right. And then I believe it was last week, the Board of Selectmen also took up the transfers, some more transfers. Kind of go through these briefly before we list them out. So some of these accounts that were underspent, one was quite a bit of money. It was the Bay Path assessment. At the end of the year, they didn't spend all the money, which is kind of an unusual thing. And they called up and said, we're underspent there. And it was roughly about $60,000 underspent money, which is nice. Very rarely do we get the schools call us up and hand us money back. So that's a big part of it, about $60,000 there. It's a little bit in the Webster dispatch assessment. Got a little bit back there. The Board of Health agent salary and the line items, there was a little extra in those, simply because we didn't hire the Board of Health agent until later
Mid-year.
into the year. Assessor clerk, not sure exactly on that one. I think that was also a late hire, I believe.
That's correct.
That's a late hire on that one. Highway mechanic, superintendent, also same thing. We did not hire the mechanic for, I don't know when the mechanic was hired, what the date was, but it was definitely after. Superintendent a little extra in that, because our superintendent had resigned, and highway and truck laborers, extra money in that account. Anybody questions about where the money's coming from on that? Robin, any
No.
questions on any of those?
Well, a generic question is, why did the Board of Selectmen vote to approve this before it came to the FAA?
Well,
Do they need our approval to actually make everything happen?
my argument is it's the way it should be done. I have mentioned this. It's kind of a common theme we have in our town, regardless of how many times you mention it. Yes, appropriation should come here first. Board of Selectmen should take our appropriation recommendation, but I don't want to get into the
And then,
huge argument here on whether, what, procedure is. Going forward, I've made my voice known with the town administrator on this and a few of the selectmen, that going forward, it's got to stop. Appropriating money, voting on debt exclusions, voting on many things, so, prior to a recommendation, so,
okay, and then highway's giving up money
yep.
because they didn't hire their mechanic
Mhm.
early enough in the year, and they have a new superintendent. However, I called for something to be done by the highway department about 2 weeks ago now, and the guy said, oh, I only have 2 people. So why are you giving money away when you might have been able to hire a third?
That would be a good question for the superintendent. He's
Okay.
not here. I don't have an answer for you on that, as far as the hiring. I just know we didn't hire, that's why there's some extra money in the account. Okay. Okay, as far as where the money's going, as you can see, quite a bit of this, quite a bit of it is going over to the fire department. When I saw this amount, I wasn't all that happy. It's a significant amount going simply to the fire department. Obviously, there was issues last year, budget issues where cuts were made, people were laid off, there was a shortage of money, things had to come from other accounts. It's kind of I think a one-off year for all the cuts and stuff going into the override. So a lot of these were offset by having to pay overtime, having to pay per diem, repairs on the fire truck. There was some extensive repairs on some of the fire trucks, so that's the bulk of it right there. Legal expenses went up a little bit. Vacation buyback, and some HR expenses.
Like, what's DMC West Main Street?
Well, that's this building here.
Okay.
So,
It's for the building there,
Yep.
legal. What kind of HR expenses would there be?
hiring, paying, well, we don't really have an HR department here, so we use the lawyer, basically. That's how we do it, yeah. Yeah, since we don't have a personnel board and HR department, we use the legal team to kind of.
Wouldn't that go toward legal?
I'm not sure exactly how he has this, what expenses are in there. I don't know, that could possibly be more on, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, some of those HR expenses were going towards posting for job vacancies, especially when we're hiring something like our town accountant,
Yeah,
where we're
yeah.
posting it on more expensive job sites in order to attract the most qualified
Right, yeah.
candidates.
Yeah.
So we did
Thank you.
Okay.
see an increase in expenses in HR.
Yep. So that's how they got broken down, is more advertising for job positions and stuff.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on any of these transfers, comments?
So a comment.
Sure.
Again, on the fire department, on this page, the transfer is $95,997. I ignored the cents. And on the next page, or a page later, Board of Health is transferring another $16,999. So they're getting almost $113,000.
Mm-hmm.
How much is that of their normal budget, do you know? Seems like a lot of money to just go in one direction. I hope it's one time.
Offhand, I don't know their exact year-end budget for last year. Because we made so many, we had a 10% across-the-board cut, then we had the Armageddon cuts, so I'm not sure exactly what their budget went to, what percentage that would be.
Okay.
But yes, it's it is an extensive transfer. I haven't seen that since I've been on the FAA. I have not seen transfers for one department at that level.
Okay, well,
But the
that's
chief did.
good to know.
The chief was asked. I think a citizen got up and asked about why so much going to just the fire department alone. He kind of responded back that he had shifts to cover. And we had cut shifts, and he had legal obligations to cover shifts, so he had to take the money from one account, a few accounts rather, and had some repairs on the trucks. So he did justify quite a bit of the transfers. Does anybody have any other questions on the transfers? Okay, seeing no other questions on that, I'll entertain a motion to do the transfer of the $144,556.41. If anybody wants to do that.
Make a motion, FAA approves the year-end transfers for a total of $144,566.41.
Second?
Second.
Second, we have a second. Any discussion on any of this more? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so the transfers are approved. And also, we'll have, I'll have you sign those also. I think we should. Sign these also, actually. Does everybody have a pen here?
Absolutely.
I'll sign these.
Does it matter that Joan didn't date it when she signed it?
No. I'll put a date in there if she wants. I don't know. I think she came in same thing. She signed the same thing as Jana, I think.
Down at the bottom, because his name's.
That, on this side, that's the selectman.
Okay.
Perfect. That right?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so this is probably our last meeting for the fiscal year of 24, so does we'll go to miscellaneous items. Does anybody want to bring up any kind of miscellaneous stuff going forward?
There was one more page
That's it.
about this. Or was that on the other page and I missed it?
Is this a new transfer? Let me get this.
Can I see that?
Oh, this is 22, this is
Well,
23.
that was 22, but that was 2023. Oh, you know what, they're outdated.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah, there's
More
only-
money in accounts?
There's only two
It's in
sheets.
my attachment.
Okay. Okay, good. Anybody want to bring up anything? John, you're not, you don't want to re-up your,
No.
we can't convince you to stay on, huh?
I'll leave that to another person.
Sure.
It's a great opportunity for someone in town to really learn about what goes on
Yep.
and to be involved. And I wish everyone the best luck here. Keep doing what you're
Well,
doing.
we really appreciate you joining us and helping us out all the last few years here.
You will be
Definitely gonna
missed.
miss you, gonna miss you on,
thank you.
on the meeting, but, if anybody else out there that you know is,
I will
gonna-
certainly tell them.
Definitely could, we have 9 positions on FAA and,
And like 4 are filled.
yeah,
So five
so, you
openings.
know, and I think there is somebody else, I think Michelle had mentioned there was somebody else that may be interested in coming on.
Yes, there's somebody who's interested, and they're waiting to speak with the moderator once he comes back from vacation because
Oh,
it
good,
his
good.
appointment.
Okay, yeah, so, great, that would be
Good.
nice to have somebody else, because losing Jana and John at the same time is kind of a tough one, but we'll, hopefully we get some more people. You know, there's a lot of people concerned about how the money flows in the town where, you know, lots of
Exactly.
concerns, and there's 9 positions open, so I'd like to have as many people as we can. I'd rather have this room filled with people, you know, talking about the budgets and where the money comes from and how things work. Definitely like to get some more people, so. Anything else? Anybody have any other? Coming up is, we have our audit, town audit being done. Abrams, do you know when, did they give you any indication when that may be concluded?
Meeting with Scanlon, Tom Scanlon.
Yep.
We're trying to schedule it now. I know Deb's been reached out to him a couple of times. It's usually the beginning of August, I think. So,
Yeah,
we
I
have
would say
no date
usually that in middle of
confirmed
August, we usually get a copy of it,
yet. Okay,
his report, so.
yeah. We haven't had any confirmation yet.
Okay. So when we do get the Scanlon's audit, I'll make sure everybody gets a copy so we can kind of look through it. So you can look through and have any questions like that. We will be going into fall. There'll be a supplemental budget that we come up with, coming up in the fall. So we'll have a couple meetings coming up for that. That's when they certify free cash, see what we got in for free cash, and we go from there. Any adjustments to the budget that we did in May. Anything else that anybody wants? I will continue to press our town administrator and some of the board of selectmen to make sure that they're aware that when financial items come in front of them, that they're looking to their appropriations committee for the recommendation before they go forward. We've had for a history of quite a few years now, we've had the cart before the horse where appropriations are done on their end before they're done on our end, and it's not the way it should be. So I will continue to press to make sure that they're moving forward without us.
Thank you for taking on that advocacy.
Well, it's frustrating
Greatly appreciate it,
sometimes.
greatly appreciate it.
You would think that some of the experienced selectmen would recognize that and mention that and not go forward on votes without at least some of their board recommendations, but
Right.
I'm not on the board of selectmen, so I can't make that.
Yeah.
No, not yet.
Well, and the FAA always has the power to reject.
Yes, we do. So that may be in the cards if things
Right.
don't get a little bit more streamlined. But I think we're gonna be fine. I think everything's gonna work out. And then we're gonna be right back into a budget season next year. I have mentioned at one of our meetings, Mr. Siganovich asked, he says, what do you think is gonna go forward? And we got some issues coming up, next budget. Obviously, you know, the schools are gonna ask for at least the same or not more.
Right.
They are our largest department, so when they ask for a little bit more, it's a lot more when I'm looking at the budget, you know, 2.5% increase year to year is just not enough to even cover the school increase, so.
What things do you see upcoming at the, is it at the October meeting?
Yeah,
There's gonna be the playground money.
yeah, well, there's a lot of grants involved in that, so we really don't have, I don't see us having any ability to come up with a lot of cash for that. I just don't see it at this point. We don't know what free cash is gonna look like, but I don't foresee it, so the grant money is gonna be crucial for all that. Equipment, obviously, we always looking to buy equipment, so we're gonna, capital improvement, we'll get the 5-year plan. I think, Olivia, you've been working on that too, right?
Yes.
We're gonna get an updated 5-year plan, see where we are with equipment, what can be bought, what can't be bought. But the bulk of what we have in savings going forward next year is gonna be just like this year. We used a lot of stabilization to cover the budget. That depending on what we have left in free cash, that stabilization account without any kind of tax increase, it's gonna go down to quite low, so. So unless we get some new growth going on in this town, we're gonna be in a situation where we're gonna be, unfortunately, gonna be into, they're gonna be asking for additional taxes. What I foresee, but I think we can get past at least one more budget without too much there, so. Other than that, anything else to discuss going forward, or?
No.
Okay, all right, then I'll
I make a
entertain.
motion to adjourn this meeting.
Okay. Anyone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Yay.
Aye. All right. Motion adjourned. Meeting adjourned.